Hello and welcome back to Albert Recaps Z Nation. This week we're covering Season 2, Episode 12, Party with the Zeros. And happy, joy, this is what I like to see in this show. This episode was amazing and wonderful and full of suspense and awesomeness, and I've been waiting for this to come back around. I've been waiting for just like the really strength of this show to shine through again. You guys know I've been a little bit disappointed in the past with some of the diversions that they've had to take. I think maybe because of the lengthening of the season and maybe having to fill out some stuff with a little bit more filler and padding. But this episode gets us back on track. And once again, even in the episodes that I didn't necessarily love, we've had a really great series of openings this season. Going back to like down the Mississippi with the truck coming over, in the Roswell episode with the camera panning down the road through the credits, and here we have yet another something that we haven't really seen before from this show. But we start off like at a very high altitude view, zooming down through the clouds. We zoom down through the Sci-Fi Presents logo. We zoom down through the Asylum Production logo. And we zoom down to the Mexican-American border, where our team is fighting off yet another horde of zombies at the opening of one of the episodes. I know everyone's shocked. They're fighting again at the beginning of an episode. Listen, that's how this show works. Deal with it. But they're fighting at this like giant wall thing, which in the universe of Z Nation has apparently been built along the entirety of the American-Mexico border. I don't think that's accurate. I mean, I've been to the border and it doesn't look anything like that, but this looks really cool. And I kind of like the idea that this takes place in some sort of very similar but a little bit alternate universe, where somebody did build a giant 2,000 foot or 2,000 mile long, like 100-foot tall wall along the border that, you know, the Mexicans still tunneled under. I that idea tickles me, the idea of upscaling the border a little bit bigger than it actually is. And it looks cool. I mean, in this sequence, wherever they found to shoot this, with whatever walls they had behind them, was a really fascinating arena, especially considering that they're basically exposed, right? You have this big flat concrete area, they have a big wall behind them, and they have zombies coming in from all ends, and they're fighting them off, wave by wave by wave, but there's nowhere for them to go. It's like their backs are literally against the wall here, and I thought that was really a fascinating approach to sort of something we haven't really seen before. A lot of times it's, they've got cover, they've got somewhere to hide, they've got somewhere to go. Here they've been just shoved up against the Mexican-American border, and there's nowhere left for them to go. And of course they have Murphy with them, so they try to get him to do his Murphy thing, right? Stop the zombies. You're the Murphy, the zombie messiah. Surely you can stop these zombies from coming after us. And he tries, and it doesn't work. Or he doesn't try hard enough. Who knows what's going on in Murphy's head right now. I don't think he would willingly let his friends die, even if it meant him surviving and going on. I think that this is a genuine failing of his power, which makes me kind of curious. Like, what's going on with him other than just the writer saying, he doesn't get to do it now because that'd be boring. I don't think that they're stooping that low. I would like to believe that there is a reason for him not to be able to control the zombies now, and that he's evolving in some other way that we haven't fully understood yet. But at the last second, as the zombies are closing in, we see our good friend all season long this year, a scorpion, pop up from a trapdoor underneath the giant wall and say, "Hey guys, come on, get underground, or we've got a place." And so the gang, doesn't really trust him, knows that he's psycho gang leader type of a guy, but they also know that they've got better chance against him than against the mindless horde of zombies, so they take the offer and make a run for it. And they go down underground. There's a little bit of a tense standoff where Scorpion... apologize. Scorpion's guys point their guns at the Z Nation guys. The Z Nation guys, our team, points their guns back at Scorpion's guys. Roberta points a gun directly at Murphy and says, I'm perfectly willing to kill him because he's just our prisoner, which my wife reminded me is a gambit that they had worked out previously in another episode. But even so, I still got to think Murphy's hearing this and thinking, I'm not really valuable to them except as a cure. And maybe internalizing that more than even she really meant it. But eventually they do sort of talk down the escalation there. Nobody shoots each other. And, a Scorpion says, hey, why don't you come and meet the Queen of the Dead? I don't remember how do you say that in Spanish, but that's her Spanish name, is the Queen of the Dead. And they go and meet this woman in this really lush green. I mean, when is the last time we really saw something green in Z Nation? I mean, really, we haven't. The color palette of the show has been very brown and yellow and gray and sort of these muted colors. And you get into this place where the Zeros have made their home and made their fortress, and it's another world. I mean, from, just the color palette standpoint and what we're seeing here, there's trees everywhere. We haven't been in, whenever we're in trees, a lot of times, it's this sort of sparse forest, sort of the Washingtonian tall pines. And here, these trees are different. It's like this lush garden, and the greens really come through in the color palette. And it's inhabited by all of these Scorpion guys who we've seen them throughout the season. And in the Wasteland, they take a little bit of a different look, right? Because they're wearing the sort of the Scorpion mask and the black, and it looks very menacing on one end. But once you get into this garden, and this is sort of their domain, it takes on a little bit of a different tone, like almost like they're a different race. Not like from the sense of Mexican and American race. I don't mean like that, but there is a sense of this because of how everybody's painted, because of the completely different style that they're going. My instinct was thinking like this is sort of a vampire colony. They're not actually vampires, but that sort of aristocratic kind of we are above all of the petty squabbles of the world because we're immortal type of thing. I got that vibe from them going in with the Zeros because they are, I mean, there's no zombies in here. We don't see any zombies at all. They're very well armed. They have all their own style. And now our guys the main group is sort of the odd men out rather than these guys the skeleton face guys being all creepy and stuff. Now they're in this world where that's the norm, that these guys aren't just the enforcers, that they are the inhabitants of this world. And they're taken to this Queen of the Dead character, who is a fascinating woman who's apparently in charge of the Zeros, which I kind of assumed that a Scorpion was. I assumed that he was just the head dog, the top, head honcho. But with this addition of the Queen of the Dead character, you realize he's definitely up there. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of stuff going for him, but he's also... He's I would say equal footing with her, and a little bit different. He's in charge of sort of the strong arm tactics. He's in charge of the military, but you get the sense that he governs through fear, and she, in a very real sense, has the love of the people. They respect her more than they respect him. They love her more than they love him. Respect probably isn't the right word. They probably respect a Scorpion because if they don't, he'll shoot them. But I felt like that her character contrasted with him was very, very interesting. And we see her, I think that she's still willing to do what she has to do, but she's very much not a cold-blooded kind of, how do I put this into words? She seems more willing to compromise. She's not necessarily interested in killing everybody. She will kill everybody. But but she's willing to work through her problems with other things besides gunplay, if that's possible. She's willing to talk through it. She's willing to negotiate to get what she wants. And that adds a really interesting element, because now our guys are in this enemy stronghold, and she basically gives them an offer. She says, hey, the CDC in California, if it even exists, which is a big if, is not going to be able to, even again, and the even bigger if they can synthesize the cure, what are they going to do with it? I have an army and a huge distribution chain set up so that I can get drugs everywhere around the world for, recreational purposes, but still, she has this supply chain already in place. If they can develop a cure for the zombie virus, she can get it out there faster. And guess who she should have on her side but our old friend Dr. Curian, Mr. Two-Face, setting off the well, it's really Murphy's fault that the nukes went off, but Curian helped a lot. And he's in the employ of this Queen of the Dead character, and he's there, and of course their instant instinct is to be like, whoa, no, we shoot him. He gets killed. We don't care that you took our guns. We'll find a way. We are very smart, resourceful people. And she even points that out. She's like, I know I took your guns, but actually, I'm sure you could make a weapon that could kill him out of something in this room. But she talks him out of it. She says, hey, this is the guy. I don't like him either, but this is the guy who has the talents to synthesize this cure. We need this cure. I'm sure from her perspective, she needs it so that her customers don't keep dying, because the more people who die from zombie bites, the fewer people who can take her drugs, and that would be bad for business. So she's interested in helping synthesize this cure. She convinces Roberta and the gang not to kill Curian, and the gang separates from Murphy. Murphy gets left in the lab, at which point we realize that Curian has been kind of conning the Zeros a little bit. He's overstated his talents by quite a bit. He had said to, the Queen of the Dead, oh yeah, I can synthesize a cure, get me the Murphy, it's very important. And sort of playing around like he was working on a cure, but really just torturing people and zombies for no reason, just to make it look like he was cutting people up and trying to find stuff. And his plan apparently is to get Murphy's blood and inject it into the people that he wants to control, and have Murphy control those people for him, or let Murphy control those people. And we go back in the opening to the episode, the sort of previously on Z Nation, we got the clip of him talking to Murphy about, listen, your race is going to inherit the earth. Your human zombie hybrid type of person is ultimately going to be the stronger over zombies and humanity. And so it's almost an ideological thing for him, I think. He's not even as much worried about self-preservation as he is in sort of letting loose this new race. And going back to the end of season 1, you saw him going around experimenting with these drugs and these things that ultimately created the zombie virus. And I think that was him trying to come up with sort of what Murphy eventually became. He was trying to advance the human state beyond what it was, and also trying to create potentially a easily controllable soldier, both of which things he's now able to do because Murphy's there and Murphy's on board with this plan. Even though he doesn't like Curian, he's like, I like where you're thinking, with me king of everybody, and I control it all. That's awesome. In the meantime, the Zeros have a really brutal breaking in ceremony. One of the conditions of the deal was to our main gang is, listen, we're going to give you a bunch of stuff, and we're going to, outfit you really good, but you got to become part of the Zeros if you want it. At which point Vasquez goes to Warren, and he's like, this is like the offer that you're going to get, and the other, it's just sort of implying like, if you don't want this, they'll kill you. So Roberta's like, well, and the great thing about this episode is the tension, because they're in this area where these people are that will just kill you if they think you look funny. And yet they have sort of this uneasy truce that they want to continue. They have an interest in Murphy being cured and the cure being synthesized from him if there's an option here. So there's a lot of different sort of emotions in play. And then add on to the fact Vasquez is looking for the man that killed his family, which we heard about 4 or 5 episodes back. I can't remember exactly. He knows he's in the Zeros. He doesn't know exactly who he is, but he's like, I'll know him when I know him. And this was a little bit predictable to me. I would have liked them to go in a more interesting direction, but it's Escorpion. Almost said Escobar. Different guy. It's Escorpion who killed his family. He had a mask on, but he notices a tattoo that the guy had. He hears something that he said the same way when he killed his family. And so Vasquez is hell-bent on getting his revenge. And he's, I think, more so than the Cure, because, his wife and daughter is gone. There's no cure for them. More so than the team, more so than anybody else. Like, this is his overriding thing in his life. And so he has this in his mind, but at the same time, they've been inducted into the Zeros now. And we get a great montage of them being all pimped out in Zero attire, the nice sort of Mexican suits, and Doc has these great curlers in his beard, which is just hilarious. It's the funniest thing in the episode, bar none, is 10K getting the foot rub from the guy, and the guy winks at him, and 10K's look of just like, what are you doing? No, why are you still touching my feet? I found it was hilarious. I laughed harder at that than I think I've laughed at anything all week. And so they're in, the episode title is Party with the Zeros. They're in this now with the Zeros in their culture, sort of, enjoying the joys of being part of this gang. They have a big party. Everybody has to bring Murphy a flower because he's the savior of humanity and all this stuff. And which was another great scene when Warren comes up to him and Murphy's like, you're supposed to bring me a flower. Or so I've been told anyway. You're supposed to, because I'm the savior of the human race. And Warren turns around and yanks a flower from the guy behind her and gives it to him. That was hilarious. And their things go along. There's a great, it's getting into the funny moments of the episode. They're having performances and stuff, and this guy comes up with a ventriloquist dummy. And so they go into this long spiel of, introducing him and saying, oh, hey, here comes so-and-so with his ventriloquist dummy. And instantly, Escorpion shoots him. Just, right in the head. Ball! And they, just, everybody's a little bit shocked for about half a second. Then they drag the guy away, and it's the next person. It's some dancer, and he's apparently fine with that. I thought that was... It tickled me so much just to instantly be like, nope, no dumb ventriloquist bits. Just skipping right over that nonsense. But Vasquez does, he has it in his head. He's gonna kill a Scorpion. So he makes his move. He's headed up towards a Scorpion. It's one of those great sort of slow-mo shots as everything sort of slows down, and you see him kind of coming up behind a Scorpion, and Roberta looks and sees what's going on and runs towards him to try to stop him, pushes a Scorpion out of the way, and Vasquez ends up firing, and it ends up being sort of misunderstood. The Zeros think that this has been an assassination attempt on the Queen of the Dead. And interestingly enough, they don't blame the rest of the guys, but they do take Vasquez and put him down in their torture chamber, and a Scorpion, in a callback to season 1, threatens to torture him by hitting his face with an egg beater, the kind, the ones that the power, what do you call those things? Mixer, something. Anyway, which I kind of thought was silly in season 1, and then it comes back again in season 2, and I'm really tempted to see like what happens if you hold an egg beater up to your face, like how much but then if it actually does turn out to do a lot of damage, I would be in pain. So I sincerely considered bringing an egg beater on and like trying to get my nose with it, but I realized that I might create an entirely different type of YouTube video with that, so I avoided that. Maybe it would actually really, really hurt, but it still seems ridiculous and silly to me. But as Vasquez is about to be tortured, Kyrian comes back with his vial, his syringe of Murphy blood, and says, "Hey, I got the cure, guys. Let me." And his immediate thing is, "Allow me to inject it into you, my queen, so that you'll be, able to, be free from the zombie. No, you won't be able to be bitten or whatever." And Queen of the Dead's not an idiot, so she says, "Go try it on somebody else, somebody that we don't need alive." And she goes and she gets Vasquez out of the torture dungeon, brings him up, and the episode ends with a to be concluded thing as Kyrian is pushing the needle into Vasquez's neck and injecting him with Murphy's blood. And like I said at the beginning, everything about this episode was great. There were, maybe I could nitpick some stuff, but really this is a return to form for Z Nation, and the kind of episode I've come to expect. We are in this entirely different world. It's not even maybe it's familiar to people who are in Mexico, but the cultural sort of change of being with the Zeros, of having the outlandish outfits and the masks on and being in the green areas with the garden was just such a shift in tone, which I love when Z Nation does that, and they try to do it fairly frequently, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. This time it really worked. Add on top of that the tension that we get from all of the just being in this wasp's nest of dangerous people, and at any moment our guys could be killed, and they know they could be killed, and there's just this really thin, uneasy truce that continues through, and they survive the sort of trial by fire when the Zeros send the zombies after them, and which I kind of was surprised a little bit that they let them in after that. I thought this looks like maybe it was supposed to be because they turned the lights off too. The Zeros, like in the dark, make them kill the zombies, and the team manages to do it. But I was a little bit surprised that they were actually sincere that if they passed that test, they would be in. But they did, and they are. And I don't know where this is going. I know that Kyrian's plan to create sort of a zombie army, half zombie, half person army under Murphy, it's a little bit early in the whole plot for that to happen, I think. But I don't know. I don't know what the 5-year plan for Z Nation is. I know that they've renewed for season 3, and I know that Murphy, that he's sort of the main change in this whole series, that he's the one who's going through the most catalyst type of, moving from one type of character to another type of character, and ultimately, I think he's going to be the big bad. But I don't know if he's at the point where he can do that now, so I'm fascinated to see where this goes, what is going to happen. Is he going to remain loyal to his friends, or is he going to become a villain for season 3? And if he does, what moves on from there? But I was so into this episode. When that 2P concluded card come up, I was like, it's over already? How could it be over? We got to wait until next week. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too, because it's all picking up now. It's all rolling towards the big finish. We're in episode 12. Next week will be episode 13, and we'll have 2 more after that in the season. We are concluding this thing in a big way, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. So, anyway, if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you give the like button a click down there. And if you'd subscribe to our channel, we got a bunch of other stuff, and you'll be able to see the Z Nation stuff as I post it every week. Usually try to get it out on Saturday. Sometimes I'm really industrious and do it on Friday night. Not this week, because I'm lazy. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next week with another recap of Z Nation.